Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up because today's news is sending shockwaves through the NFL universe. It's the kind of deal you dream about as a fan, and as a content creator, it's one of those moments where you just throw the script out the window and speak from the heart. The Dallas Cowboys, yes, your Dallas Cowboys, have pulled off what could be the most seismic defensive acquisition of the decade by finalizing a stunning trade to acquire none other than Myles Garrett from the Cleveland Browns. That's right, the perennial all-pro defensive player of the year candidate, sack machine, and physical freak of nature is heading to Arlington, Texas to don the star and line up in navy and silver. This isn't just a trade. This is a declaration of war on the NFC. It's Jerry Jones putting all his chips in, signaling that the Cowboys are no longer content to just compete. They are all in on winning a Super Bowl. And this isn't just about stats or cap space or pick swaps. This is about identity. It's about reshaping the very core of the Dallas Cowboys defense and sending a message to the rest of the league. We are not here to play around. We are here to dominate. Now let's take a step back and really understand how this all unfolded. Myles Garrett, since being drafted first overall in 2017, has been the face of the Browns defense. He's racked up over 100 sacks in his career, consistently terrorized quarterbacks, and led by example both on and off the field. He's been everything the Browns could have asked for. But greatness often comes with expectations, and Garrett made it clear earlier this year that he was no longer willing to be part of a culture that didn't prioritize championship contention. After another early playoff exit and growing internal frustration within the Browns locker room, Garrett reportedly requested a trade, not publicly at first, but behind closed doors through his agent, signaling to the front office that if Cleveland wasn't serious about contending now, then maybe it was time for him to move on. The Browns initially resisted. Ownership doubled down on their plans, even reportedly refusing to meet with Garrett about his concerns. But pressure builds, and as the offseason progressed, it became harder and harder to ignore the tension. Then, like a thunderbolt out of nowhere, the Cowboys came calling. What did Dallas give up in return? We're hearing it's a massive package. Not multiple first-round picks, a second-rounder, and possibly even a player from the active roster. A move like this doesn't come cheap, and that's the point. When you want generational talent, you pay generational prices. The Cowboys front office knew exactly what they were getting: a game changer, a disruptor, a once-in-a-decade pass rusher who can wreck a game plan all by himself. But they also saw something else. They saw the opportunity to pair Garrett with Micah Parsons, arguably the best young defender in football today. Just think about that for a second. Think about the absolute nightmare that would be for offensive coordinators around the league. On one side, you've got Micah coming downhill at lightning speed. On the other, Garrett bulldozing his way through double teams. There is no pocket to step up into. There is no weak side to chip. It's chaos. It's pressure from both edges, every down, every snap. With those two monsters up front, quarterbacks are going to have nightmares before even landing in Dallas. Add in DeMarcus Lawrence, Osa Odigizua, and a rapidly developing secondary led by Trevon Diggs and Darren Bland, and you suddenly have what might be the most complete, most dangerous defense in the NFL. The emotional energy around this deal is off the charts. Cowboys Nation is absolutely buzzing. Twitter, Reddit, Instagrams, it's all exploding with reactions, memes flying, fans losing their minds. Everyone's talking about what this means, not just for the Cowboys' 2025 season, but for the next 5 years. For decades, Dallas has been criticized for being all flash and no substance, for falling short in the postseason, for failing to live up to the hype. But this move, This changes the conversation. This is substance. This is a strategic long-term power move that shows Dallas is serious. And let's not forget, the window with Dak Prescott isn't infinite. He's in the later years of his prime. CeeDee Lamb's extension is looming. Tony Pollard's future is up in the air. This is the moment. This is the push. You don't trade for Myles Garrett unless you plan to make a run right now. And that's exactly what the Cowboys are signaling. We are making our run. From Garrett's perspective, this deal makes perfect sense. He's made his money. He's proven himself as a dominant force. Now, he wants a ring, and Dallas gives him the best shot he's had so far in his career. Playing alongside another elite pass rusher like Micah Parsons, being coached by Dan Quinn or whoever steps into that DC role next, playing under the bright lights in prime time every week, it's everything a competitor like Garrett could ask for. And you better believe he's going to feed off the energy of playing in front of one of the most passionate fan bases in sports. Dallas loves their defense. They love their big hits, their sacks, their swagger. Garrett is going to fit right in. I imagine the first home game at AT&T Stadium with Garrett introduced to the crowd. Fireworks, fans on their feet. Boom! As he comes charging out of the tunnel in that crisp blue and silver. That moment alone is worth the price of admission. Strategically, this also opens up a whole new dimension for Dallas. Last year, we saw how important it was to create consistent pressure. The Cowboys were good, but they weren't great when it mattered most. They ran into teams that could protect the quarterback and punish them down the field. With Garrett now in the mix, you're not just adding pressure, you're forcing turnovers. You're dictating the tempo. You're flipping the script. And that's what great defenses do. They don't just react. They control the game. They force the offense to play scared. They make quarterbacks second guess themselves. And with two all-pro pass rushers hunting on every down, that's exactly what Dallas is about to do. But beyond the X's and O's, beyond the stats and the fantasy projections, this deal carries weight. It carries emotion, because it's not every day that a franchise like Cleveland lets go of a homegrown superstar. And it's not every day that the Cowboys, often criticized for being too cautious or too conservative in big moments, pull the trigger on a move this bold. It took guts, it took vision, and it took a willingness to take a risk. But that's how championships are won. That's how dynasties are born. You've got to risk something to gain everything. And right now, the Cowboys are showing that they're ready to do just that. Like, I know there are going to be fans who worry about the draft picks we gave up, about the cap space, about the long-term implications. And yes, those concerns are valid. But let me ask you this. When was the last time the Cowboys won it all? It's been almost 3 decades. How much longer are we supposed to wait? Sometimes you've got to strike while the iron's hot. Sometimes you've got to make the bold move, because if you don't, someone else will. The 49ers, the Eagles, the Lions, the Packers, they're all loading up. They're not waiting around, and neither should we. So to everyone watching this right now, I want to say, soak this in. This is not just another offseason transaction. This is history in the making. We're witnessing the birth of a new era in Dallas. An era defined by dominance, by grit, by unapologetic ambition. Myles Garrett in a Cowboys uniform isn't just about sacks. It's about attitude. It's about sending a message to the league that Dallas is done being the butt of playoff jokes. We are here to compete, to win, to claim what's ours. And with Garrett leading the charge, I believe we've taken a massive step toward making that dream a reality. Get ready, Cowboys Nation. It's going to be one hell of a ride.